In this training, we're going to go through a quick introduction, then we're going to cover incident, problem, change, and approvals. These are the 4 applications within ServiceNow that you as a fulfiller may be utilizing day one once ServiceNow has been launched in your organization. For your introduction, ServiceNow is a cloud-based service management solution and is how your company is now helping your department resolve and fulfill requests or issues in your business. Typically, these are IT-based requests or issues that are in your business, and a fulfiller would be you as the IT technician trying to solve these issues or fulfill these requests. In this presentation, you'll be walked through an overview of how to use ServiceNow as this fulfiller to find and resolve these issues submitted to your department. Quick note, the instance of ServiceNow in this presentation has the base Kilderkin ATV deployment. Kilderkin was your implementation partner in your business that helped launch ServiceNow for you to start utilizing to solve your service management issues. Your interface may look or behave slightly different as your company may have deployed custom configurations to meet your business needs. However, the basics you're going to get in this training should still apply. First, we're going to tackle incident. Upon logging into ServiceNow, you'll be provided with a dashboard. If you need to understand how the UI works within ServiceNow, please see the UI training provided to you from Kilderkin and your company. This is the base homepage. Upon login, yours may look different if your company's deployed a custom homepage. For today, what we're going to do is we're going to go find incidents that have come into us and solve those incidents. First, we'll expand the left navigator and we'll see all of the applications we have access to. In this case, this is the self-service app. We can close that or expand that. But what we're looking for is incident. We can either come down here to incident and expand it, or we can type in the word incident to find it. As you can see, that filters dynamically and finds everything containing the word incident or whatever you have typed in. And let's go to the Incident Overview Dashboard. This is the Incident Overview Dashboard. It's displaying some reports and numbers that are important to you. Things like active incidents that aren't being worked, high priority active incidents, and items that you might need to be taking action on. You also can see trending on open incidents this month for your organization and close and resolve incidents. For today, what we're going to do is go find an unassigned incident and take it over and start working it. All of these reports are, as they say, drillable, which means you can click on any of these values and see what they're representing. So let's click on the number 7 here on the unassigned incidents that are not resolved. This is now going to display a list of those incidents. This might be important for you to drill into as you need to see what groups it's assigned to. Maybe these are groups that you're a part of, and you maybe need to start working these incidents. But let's just say for this training that you're actually on the service desk. Under this column for assignment group, we see the term service desk. Maybe that's the only group we're in, and these are the incidents we need to see. We can right click and say show matching. This is now going to just show me the incidents that are assigned to the service desk group that are currently unassigned. You can see that in this breadcrumb filter up here as it's broken out for you. We can also remove any of these values by clicking either the caret or the individual one will remove everything after it. Let's say that we need to keep this list as it's extremely important to us. Let's add it as a favorite. Click on the very last condition, drag it over to the bar over here, and now that's going to be there so if we ever need to come back and grab other incidents that meet this criteria. Now let's go work an incident. As we can see, there's an unassigned one here in the top of the list for the service desk for SAP Materials Management. Well, we probably should get that assigned to someone, maybe ourselves, and work the incident. By clicking on the number or the blue eye icon in the list view, it's going to take us to that incident. Now we are here in the incident that we need to start working on. The incident form may look different based on how your company has rolled out ServiceNow. But for today, this is how it should look day one if they have made no major changes. We can see who the caller is, in this case the person who submitted the incident and is having the problem. We have our categorization in here. We can change it if need be. Maybe she submitted it incorrectly. We can see the information on this user. So for some reason we need to email her, or if there's phone numbers in here, we can call her up really quick. Just different ways to find more information on the user. Maybe you need to contact their manager. That could be displaying in here. We can now assign it to ourselves. In this case, I'm logged in as ITIL user, but I could just type in my name if I was logged in as myself. We have our short description, what the user has determined the short description of the incident is, the little small title. A little bit deeper of a description. We have our notes section. This is displaying what's been going on in the incident. So it's a way to add notes. We have work notes, or if we click the icon over here, it'll display comments. So the difference between these are work notes are notes you can put into the incident that don't go out to your end users, your callers, your customers, whatever you determine is how you label your end users. Typically we call them end users or customers, but just understand work notes are a way for you to put comments or notes in the incident that you don't want the end user to see. Comments are a way for you to add comments to the incident to communicate with the user. So if you need questions to be answered or you want to give them an update on the progress, that's what comments are for. The watch lists allow you to add people to get in the loop. So you have watch list and work notes list. Watch list is a way for you to add other people in your business or your company or your organization or whoever's going to be utilizing ServiceNow, either from an end user perspective, a fulfiller perspective, to get the updates on this incident. But because it's the watch list, they're only going to get access to the comments and only see comments. Works notes lists allows you to give them that access plus the ability to see work notes. So just understand if you need to loop in, other users, but you don't want them to see work notes, add them to the watch list. If you need to add someone to help out with the incident, say your manager, or you want their manager to be involved at the work notes level, add them to the work notes list. It's fairly easy to do. You just expand the lock here, find the user you want to put in here, close it, and now that person's locked in. We can also come in and see the activity that's been going on. So here's everything that's been going on with this incident. So we can see when it was submitted, who submitted it, what their issues might be. Comments are with the dark gray band. Work notes are with the yellow band. If your users made any attachments, either by click and dragging or adding an attachment with the attachment icon in the upper right hand area, they display inline as well if they're images. If they're not images, if it's like an Excel spreadsheet, it'll be a link to download the file. The attachments also appear at the top as well, so you can grab them from up here if need be. Related records, this is a way for you to see other issues that might be tied to this incident. Maybe you've deployed a change in your organization and it's caused an outage, and this is an incident that needs to be tied to that. You can do that here with the cause by change. Maybe this is an incident and the user's like, I need to put more memory in my laptop or my desktop, and you want your business processes to open a change request for that. You can open a change and put it here. Or if you've got a problem in your system and you want this tied to a problem, you can. Typically problems are major issues, right, or outages. So the way it usually works is incidents will come into the system. If you see a trend on incidents, 1, 2, 3, 4 start looking the same issue, open a problem, tie those to the problem, and that way you can see the impact of the problem on the organization as a whole. But as you also update this problem record, it'll actually cascade update the incidents as well that are associated to it. That way you don't have to go in and update every single incident when you make an update to the problem. So just understand that's how it works. We're going to go over problem here later on in the training. Closure information, as you work an incident, it'll go through some stages, right? So right now, this is an on hold. Typically, a incident that's just come in will go to new. When you assign it to yourself, you put it in an in progress state, start working the incident. As you move it through, if you've got to put it on hold for any reason, you can put it on hold. And why? Maybe it's you've got SLAs, right? And maybe you don't want your SLAs to tick down while you're waiting for the caller to respond. That's a common reason why you might put this on hold. Then you have the resolved. So What resolved means is that you've worked the incident, you've come up with the resolution, and you've deployed the resolution, and now you need to let the customer know that, or the caller, or the consumer, or whoever you want to call it, right? Then what you can do is when you do put it in a resolved state, it's going to ask you to fill out the closure information. This becomes mandatory in your business process. So, typical incident process, right? Incident comes in as new. You've got some notes in here, some comments from the end user of what's going on. You want to start working with them. You add notes. You get that back and forth while you're trying to solve the issue for the user. Then as you're working it, it'll move to an in progress. You're working it, you're moving back and forth with the customer. The issue gets resolved. You put it in a resolved state. Closure information becomes mandatory. You'll see if I try to hit update, it'll give me a nice little warning here saying no, you need to. You can pick your solution code as to why it's solved or what the actual code is, and your resolution notes. And then you can hit update and it's resolved. Let's say that you need to move this. Maybe you see this incident come in, it comes to the service desk, and you realize, no, this needs to go to the server group or a totally different group that is working within ServiceNow as well. Well, that's the power of ServiceNow. You can be a part of multiple groups, or your organization can have multiple groups working in the same system, so you guys can pass work between each other seamlessly, rather than trying to send an email to somebody and have them work with you with the email and you keep track of the incident. Just bring all the groups in that might be working these issues and move it between each other. So we could change this to something like hardware, right? Your groups may be different. Through your deployment process, your groups will get hashed out, and so you're going to be in your own group names. But just understand these are the kind of the base out of the box, as they say, groups. But you can see when I try to change it, work notes become required. Understand that it's a part of your business process now, most likely, which means before you can update this incident and move it to a different group, you have to come in and say why. And now that is how you work an incident. So what's going on in the back end is it's moving through your process. If you have notifications enabled, the user that submitted this, the caller, the customer, they're going to get email notifications sent to them saying, hey, your incident's been updated, whether it's the comments or you've changed the state or it's resolved. It's up to them to accept resolution so the incident can close. Just understand that that's actually very, very typical process when it comes to ITIL. You as a fulfiller, an IT worker, or whoever's working these tickets, right? You don't close an incident, you resolve it, and it's up to the user to accept the resolution and move it to closed. There are some automations in the back end so that you guys don't have to worry about that too much, because typically what you'll see is that users don't always come in and say, yay, thanks, and close the incident for you. Typically what you'll see is they are happy that it's resolved and then they just ignore it and move on. Your organization is using ServiceNow, and with our deployment that we've worked on, that incident, if it sits in a resolved state for a specific amount of time, it'll auto close as well. So understand that once it's in a resolved state, you don't have to worry about it until it does one of two things. It'll automatically close, and then you can just be happy and you've got a close on your resolve and close trend. If the user comes back, they can reject the resolution and it'll reopen. You'll get notified, and then you go back in and see why they rejected the resolution. Next, let's talk about problem. Back in our instance, still on our incident list, we can actually do things like open a problem. There are a couple of ways to tackle this. First is just by going to the problem application, which is what we'll cover first. Again, using the left nav, we can type in problem. We can go to the overview dashboard. We can see the problems in our system that are open, critical open, ones that are older than 30 days that you probably want to take care of. You can see, state and priority reporting in here. Again, all of this is clickable or drillable, and you can get into it. But let's go ahead and create a new problem by clicking Create New. Couple items in here. The category, right, is now mandatory. So anytime you see that red asterisk, that means mandatory. You probably saw that in the UI training. So we're going to say that there is some enterprise software having a problem. So now we fill out the short description, enterprise software. So let's say Outlook is down. And Outlook is not responding. So this would be a single problem. Maybe you've seen it in your business and you've got to get a problem open on it to start working on it. We can assign it to ourselves, so if we're going to be the person handling the problem, or we can just leave it unassigned and submit it. That'll send a notification to the assignment group saying you've got a new problem in the system, and we can save it or submit it. I'm actually going to go ahead and assign it to myself first. And I'm going to save it. Anytime you see that little menu pop up, that's just me right-clicking in ServiceNow. And now we have a problem open. So we know Outlook is not responding and we need to work it. So you go in, start doing some detective work, figuring out what's going on with the Outlook system, why is it down or not responding, and you work the problem. Let's say that as you work the problem, you notice that our incidents are coming in from your users and you go, I should probably get those associated to this problem. There's a variety of reasons for that, right? Future tracking, impact analysis, post-resolution. Maybe you just want to do it because when you update the problem, you want it to update the incidents rather than needing to go into each individual incident. So we can either click New to create a new incident associated to this problem, right? And it'll go and create a new incident. Or we can click Edit and add existing incidents. So you'll see a list comes up of all the incidents in your system, right? This is everything, but you can use the filter to kind of lock those down a little bit, right? So maybe you want to, short description contains email, right? And we could run that filter, and it filters down the list. You can click on these, you'll get a little snapshot along the bottom of the lists of to what's that incident kind of about, so you can kind of see which ones you might want to associate it. And in this filter you can do even more advanced options. So if you wanted to say short description contains email and created on this week, so you know that you're getting new fresh incidents that are part of this problem. So we can just we can either double click to move it over, or we can select multiples by holding down your command or control, depending upon if you're a Mac or PC person, and then move them over by clicking the arrow icons as well. And then we click Save. Now those incidents are associated to this problem. As this problem gets worked and closed, those incidents will go into a resolve state, and they'll get notifications that says your incident is resolved based on closure of problem, in this case 40,001. That way you don't have to go in and update all of those individually, right? Really save that time of, going into each individual incident as one person, or, you could have multiple techs who have multiple incidents, and they don't have to go in as well. Everybody's just kind of got their stuff in a holding pattern. It's in an awaiting problems state. Once the problem's closed, those incidents get resolved automatically, and now you're trending up in your resolution. Again, we have the work notes lists, the work notes. Instead of comments in a problem, you can now put workarounds in. We have our RCA tab. RCA stands for root cause analysis. So as you go and work the problem, you get it into a nice closed state, and you fill out your closure information again, just like we saw with the incident. We can put in close notes. But as you've worked this problem, you're going to come across what happened, where it happened, when it happened, in the impact summary. Now, mandatory, some of them maybe not, depending upon how your organization has rolled out problem, but just understand they may be in here. RCA is really important, especially of major outages, because at some point, either you, your management's, if it's a major outage and a major problem, you're going to need to go report up to an executive level staff typically. This is really important in that case. They're going to want to know, typically the first four things, and depending upon how locked down your organization is, impact summary can be huge as well, because that could be financial, it could be physical, there could be all sorts of reasons that impact summary could be even bigger. Then we can save or again update this as we move it through our process. And now the important piece here is, let's say that you're going to be brought into a meeting and they want to talk about this problem. The people in that meeting may not want to log into ServiceNow and know what happened. You can generate an RCA summary to either click this or take this link, give it to them via email, or print this page out, bring it into the meeting with you. Another way to open a problem is directly from an incident. So let's say we're sitting at the service desk, incidents are coming in, and you're seeing a trend go on, or an incident comes in that you know is a severe issue that needs to be a problem as well. You can actually open a problem directly from the incident. You can just right-click up here at the top and say Create Problem. It's now going to pull over some information from the incident for you. You can categorize this, assign it to the right group, assign it to a specific person. It even brings over the priority automatically, so if that incident is a high priority, this will be a high priority problem. You'll see that the incident is now automatically associated to it that we generated it from. We can still go in and add new incidents to this, or edit and add the list like we saw before. I like to point out a really important process feature here that I used heavily in my history with ServiceNow when I was in tech support. The new button here, I used to use all the time when we would open a problem and I would be getting calls into the call center. Instead of going and creating a new incident by going to the incident application, I would just click new right here and then go fill out, maybe Fred called in about the same problem that we know is out there. Fred called in, we select phone, and let's go ahead and just assign it to ourselves. You could assign it to anybody in the organization, and then we submit it, and now we've got that incident automatically associated with the problem. It's a lot faster to do it that way. That way you're not spending a lot of time finding the application, associating it to the problem. You're just creating it from the problem. And then you go through and work the problem, and then it's going to go ahead and update those users as the incident gets in the incidents.